Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And this week, we have the pleasure of having Dana Brooks from Tallahassee, Florida. Hello, Dana. How are you doing?
Hey there. I'm well. How are you?
All right. So, Dana, I've known her for several years now. She's in one of our masterminds. In fact, she just moved up to 8-figure. So you guys are really growing, right?
We're excited about it.
Yeah, actually. Good deal. So, like I start out with everybody, I want you to tell me your story. How did you get into law and why did you pick personal injury? And then we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again for having me, Ken. I listen to your podcast. I get so much out of it and so much out of the masterminds, which, like you said, you'll get out of them what you put into them. And they're just a fount of wisdom, and I am very appreciative. So I hope I have something to contribute here today. I graduated law school 3 days before I turned 40, and I was sworn in as a lawyer at 11:30 one morning and made a named partner of a 30-year-old personal injury law firm at 4:00 the same day. So it was kind of a whirlwind. And you probably wonder, well, how in the world did you get that opportunity? I had been a paralegal for many years. I did medical malpractice defense. I knew a lot of people, and eventually I met and married an attorney who did that, and I worked for him for many, many years. Decided I wanted to do something different. I went back to school. I had to actually complete my AA degree. I only had an AS, and so I hadn't finished my AA degree. When I told my little girl when she went to school, I would go to school, and so when she started kindergarten, I went back to school. So I had to finish an AA and then a bachelor's, and I got my bachelor's in social work because people always thought I was a good counselor. And so I thought, well, let's look into that. And if you get your BSW, it only takes a calendar year to get your MSW, which is a terminal degree if you want to be a therapist. And so I was a clinical social worker for a while, and that was not gratifying because I'm more of an advocate than a listener. And so I thought, well, what else can I do? I've got all this legal background and I've got this counseling degree. So I became a family law mediator, and I did that for a number of years. But that's wonderful training. It's not a viable career option if you're a non-lawyer, in my view. Lawyers don't hire you, and so you're basically working for the courthouse, and it's not a lot of money in that, which wasn't my primary motivation at the time. I was married to a lawyer and having a wonderful standard of living, but I just wanted to reach my potential. I wanted to see what else I could do, and I didn't feel like I could do a whole lot just talking to strangers for 3 hours and trying to help them go about their way. So I finally said, well, why don't I go to law school? And so I only applied to one. I wasn't going to go anywhere other than Florida State. I had a child and I wasn't going to be away from her. So I got in. I told my husband, get on board because this is happening. And I did. And I did very well in law school. So when I got out, I couldn't decide what to do. I went through in 2 years and 4 months, whatever. I went through the summer so I could get out early. And so the last year I thought, well, what am I going to do? I've got this background in counseling and family law, but I've also got this background in med mal. I hadn't decided what I wanted to do yet. So I decided the last semester, whichever grade is the highest, that's going to be my career. So I took family law and I got a 96, decent grade, but it wasn't the highest in the class. But I took med mal and I got a 95, but I booked the class, meaning I got the highest score. So I sent it out to the universe and said, hey, plot me down where I'm supposed to be. You're not giving me the signals I'm looking for. And a man that my husband and I had litigated against for many years, who had started this law firm that Jimmy Fasig and I now own many, many years ago, he had hitched his retirement star to the wagon of a female law clerk, and she fell in love and followed her man. And so he, unlike his partner who had brought Jimmy Fasig up under him to take over the general PI, he had no one coming up under him to take over the med mal. And so when he heard about me about to graduate, he was like, oh, there we go. Somebody else has trained her. She's ready to go. When I retire, she can hit the ground running. And so that's what happened. That's why I got that very unique opportunity. And for all our female listeners, hear this, that same opportunity to be a named partner had been given to 5 other people before me, and they either failed or they didn't take the chance. They were all men. So I took the chance, and I had some risk-taking ability because I was living a nice life. I didn't have to work at all. So I put my back into it. And while I'm studying for the bar, I'm studying medical school lectures at night on every medical system taught by medical school professors. That's what I did. I studied the bar during the day, studied about 6 hours of medical school at night, because I knew the person who hired me, if he was going to make me a named partner on day one, he was probably going to throw me in the deep end. And so I had to prove myself. Everybody wondered who I slept with, whose sister, daughter, wife I was. So I had a target on my back. And so that was all I needed. That was all the motivation I needed to hit the ground running. And I've done that. I did very well when I came on board, started doing med mal, got I think the third only plaintiff's med mal verdict in Leon County ever, after being a lawyer for about a year. I tried my first med mal case, first chair. I'd been a lawyer 6 weeks. So I had to prove myself, and I did, but then I kept wanting more and more and more. And so Jimmy Fasig and I eventually bought all the shares from the preceding partners, and it became our firm. And we decided we wanted to grow and wanted to serve more people. And I consider myself just a social worker with a law degree. And so this just was right up my alley. And so we've been doing it and growing with your help, Ken, and Pilma's help, and the people you put us in touch with, the experts and the leaders in our industry. And the marketing industry. I'm a very knowledgeable lawyer with a non-marketing degree now, but we've just blown up. And like you said, last year we reached 10 million, and we've got offices all across North Florida.
That is a story, man. That is, I've known you, but I didn't know that whole story. That is, I've always been impressed with you, but now, hell, I'm even more impressed. I can't believe that you were studying during the day and night. Hell, it wore me out just studying for the bar. You got a lot more energy than I had. Everybody
was looking for me to do a professional face plant, and I was not having it. I was not here for that. So,
well, good deal. So, tell us about the firm now. About how many lawyers, how many staff, things like that, and then tell us what kind of marketing you do to get.
Okay, cases. Those are big answers, both of those, because the firm now has 8 lawyers. Jimmy Fasig and I, for the last few years, have not had our own active law practice. And I understand for everybody's thinking about scaling and growing, it scares you to death. You say, I didn't go to school this long. I didn't take those hard tests. I don't keep up the silly. I didn't lose my sleep and lose my hair and grow gray hair this early to become a marketer. But it just depends on what you want to do. My goal is to serve as many people as I can better than my competitors and make life-changing, change in their life-changing results for them so they can get out of generational poverty. I've done it too many times. I've seen too much good that comes from being a personal injury lawyer. I would never consider doing anything else in the law. So we wanted to help more people. We thought we could do it better. And so we looked at you as how to grow. One of the things, like I said, Jimmy and I did was stop having an active practice. We focus most all of our efforts on marketing and managing this law firm, although Jimmy does take active cases. Like I said, I did med mal. I handed that off to somebody. We focused primarily on what makes us different. And what we learned was when we were 3 lawyers, we were killing ourselves. We had staff, they were killing themselves. We were getting good results for clients, but those are single event clients, and you can only do so much for one person at a time. And for me and what my passion is, that wasn't enough. I want to change the world. One person at a time is too slow for me, especially women. My passion is promoting and protecting women and girls. So, I'm going hard for them. We wanted to create good paying jobs. My average salary is $75,000 in the South. That's pretty good. Not including my attorneys. Just wanted to do everything different, wanted to do everything better. And so we have a totally different practice model. We employ coaches like Ken. We have a practice management coach. I believe strongly that I don't know everything. And so other people have knowledge I could benefit from, and we avail ourselves of that. We basically, we listen and we look at opportunities that help us grow and serve more people. Sure, you want to make more money. But if that's your primary motivation, I don't think that's going to get you very far. Most of our business, like everybody else, comes from referrals, from repeat clients. And there's data, there's research out there that shows you do a good job for somebody, they maybe give you 2 or 3 people. You do a fantastic job, bring them into the fold, create a raving fan. They'll be sending you clients the rest of your life.
Absolutely correct. Oh, that's just fantastic. So you do TV, you do some billboards, but things that you do that I'm really impressed with is you guys got your own TV show. You do a lot of social media. You've both written books. Can you tell us about all that? Because y'all really are out in the community.
Okay, I'll tell you a couple of things that distinguish us. Okay, you ready? You want to go deep with it? Jimmy Fasig, my law partner, was a cocaine trafficker when he was in law school, and he got caught. Thankfully, he never did anything with clients, never ran it through the firm, nothing like that. But he got busted in law school, and we got a great federal judge who believed in him. And so he sent him away to jail. And when Jimmy was in jail, I think he learned 2 or 3 languages. He read everything he could get his hands on. He came out, he was ready to go. And he made a goal that he was going to be a named partner in a law firm in 5 years. He did it. I mean, he squeaked in. He had about a week to spare, but he did it. He's a goal setter. He's a very unique, interesting person. So he's got an interesting story, but he also has a big old kind of negative associated with him. So that's Jimmy. And then his partner is this big old, tall, blue-eyed blonde, sucks the air out of the room, funny, over the top human. That would be me. And so I'm coming out of nowhere. And they're like, who is she? Who is she being a main partner? So he and I really needed some credibility really quickly. So we started a TV show years ago. And TV shows, just so you know, it takes a while for them to get traction. I've got a new one now. I'll tell you about in a minute. It's been going on a little over a year. It's just now really showing dividends. So this is an investment. Hear me when I tell you. But we started, it was a canned production someone had come up with, and they have them in different markets. We were the first ones in Florida, but it was a legal call-in show, same music, same graphics, every market. You bring in people, you talk about the law, you bring in your competitors, you bring in people in family law, real estate law, whatever it is, and you do this, and it basically establishes you as an expert. And so again, remember, your clients are not your peers. So you can't let them get in your head about how cheesy your ads are, or, why did you say that? All the things that your peers and your people you might hang out with might rib you about. That's not what brings clients in the door. That's not what changes people's lives. Boldness and genuineness. This is what it, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I always used to say, people would tell me, and I said, they don't pay my bills. My clients pay my bills. That's exactly right. That's who I'm trying to please. I'm not trying to please the other lawyers.
That's right. My clients are my boss. So we started that show, and that really helped Jimmy and me with our unique individual problems. And within the community, if you back that up, you can't just show up. You can't just show up on a billboard. You can't just show up on radio, TV, television shows, and then nobody ever see you. I genuinely don't believe that. I think most of what we do is because we are so thoroughly invested in our community and the passion projects that we have. You can spread yourself too thin. Everybody's got a handout for a check, and it's a worthy cause, but you need to focus your efforts on the things that will get you in front of your target audience. Know who that is, know what your avatar of your client is, know the funnels, know the vectors that send those people to you. And those are the people you spend your time on. That's why you don't buy advertising on, Super Bowl to impress your friends that you can spend $5,000 on a commercial. You spend your money where you're like, go where the fish are. Don't cast that wide net. Go fish in the fishing hole. And so we do that. But we have been on television for years. Radio, not so much. It's never worked for us. But I'm not going to diss radio. I'm just saying my personal experience now. So we did that, and that way, when we did digital, which is hot right now, I just heard you'll love this. A girlfriend of mine I went to middle and high school with in Pensacola, Florida, called me yesterday, and she goes, "You will not believe this. I was cooking dinner and your commercial came on, and I told my son, I went to middle school and high school with that girl. You won't believe I know her. Guess where she lives? Washington, D.C. Because I'm in digital. I'm in over the top. That stuff streams. These people who cut the cords, it's streaming all over the place. We got into that. But what I genuinely believe about that is it doesn't work if they don't already know your face. And that comes from the years of billboard, years of TV, years of being in the community, showing up. I do believe that. We now gone and pivoted to a television show we started during COVID. And honestly, in response to just how nasty things had gotten, people weren't being very nice to each other by the time 2019 and 2020 rolled around. And I'm like, man, we got a lot of time on our hands. We're at the house, COVID, quarantine, people aren't in the office. Let's try something different. And so Jimmy Fasig, my law partner, wrote a book about his story about, it's called Come Back Stronger. When life knocks you down, come back stronger. How I went from being an inmate to a named partner, multi-million-dollar attorney in 5 years. And then that turned into a television show, and we produce it. We do all of it now. It's not canned. And we bring in people who have overcome just terrible odds to reach their potential, but also to go around, turn back and help up other people. And they spend their lives doing it now. And we've had international people, we've had people right here in our community, but now that show plays on broadcast. It's always on broadcast. Don't do this for public access or something. It's not worth your time. It's on broadcast. They're looking for content. And we play it in Tallahassee. It's in Jacksonville on 2 networks, and it's in Pensacola. It's also in Panama City. So it's all across North Florida. It's a 30-minute program. Importantly, during that 30-minute program, we get the esteem of being behind that anchor desk. We go to the interviews, which are conducted by our 2 other shareholder law partners. Both happen to be very fortunately attractive women who have excellent cross-examination and direct examination skills. So they're the best interviewers you could find. And then you watch 5 of the Fasig Brooks commercials during that 30-minute show. And guess how much that 30-minute show costs you? Way less than you think. People are looking for content. So you get all that advertising, you get that authority, you get that undivided attention for less than you're going to pay for a lot of your 30-second and certainly 60-second TV ads that are nowhere near as impactful. So that's a big different thing that we do. I can talk about the books too. Yeah. Jimmy wrote his book. And then like I said, my passion is promoting and protecting women and girls. And I regard myself as a functional feminist, because I believe feminist and feminism has been quite dysfunctional, and it didn't include everybody it needed to include. It was very, it was not a good word. There's so many bad, connotations associated with it. So I wrote a book about challenging people to re-examine that. I share a lot of my little personal stories. I'm kind of funny, and so I share some of that stuff in there. I've been married a lot of times. People find that amusing. And I just tell you how to get the lesson, how to find the power in everything that life sends to you, and how to, especially for women, how to rethink your situation. So many of us think that it is immutable and we are powerless to change it. Nothing could be further from the truth. You just have to think differently. If you try to go about it the way people have always gone about it, and especially going about it the way men have, you're not going to get where you want to get. You're just going to keep bumping up and having a lot of frustration. So it's just a way to look at things a little bit differently. Both Jimmy and my books turned into social media groups. We both have social media groups. I have something called the Empower Plant. That has taken off a life of its own. I don't even need to feed that anymore. The women who are in that thing, they feed it. It's like planting a seed, and next thing you know, you have a forest. I had to do minimal effort.
Private Facebook group, basically.
Yeah. And they use it to promote other women, that sort of thing. I have something I do, much like what you do. 4:30 Thursdays, I do a Facebook Live on the Empower Plant called the Empower Hour. And I bring just somebody who's really helping to build up women. It's not always women. It's a lot of times it's other men, but it's people who help women walk into their power. And then Jimmy has a private and a public group for Come Back Stronger. This man will get up at 5 a.m. and do a goal crusher meeting every day to help people reach their potential. And you think to yourself, when do you ever get to make law? When do you ever get to practice? When do you get to make your money? I can't put into words how that pays off. All that goodwill, all being yourself, being authentic, caring about other people, helping them overcome their challenges, celebrating them when they do, and especially when they help other people, that pays dividends. Those people come back to us, they remember us.
I think that, I've always said people hire lawyers they know, like, and trust. Mm-hmm. You guys, with all this private Facebook groups, the books, the TV shows, they get to know you. And, mm-hmm. And you're active in the community. I mean, y'all help a lot of different causes. So you're to live an example of knowing, liking, and trusting, because mm-hmm. You're authentic. So I think there's a big lesson to be learned from this. And another big lesson to learn is you can get your own TV show. You know, I've done those. I did them a little different. I was a little lazy. I did a recording where they interviewed me about my books and
Yeah.
and ran it. And I did this in Myrtle Beach probably like 6-7 years ago. I was getting broadcast time for like $600 on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
So much less expensive than people think.
yeah. I mean, the problem is the production and everything, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and then just having to show up, right? I mean,
Yep.
it's a time taker.
Well,
But you know, if you guys are not handling cases, you've got time to do that, and that's growing the firm.
and it's the things that are something no one else is doing. And don't misunderstand me, not everything works. So when you give up your caseload, you need to make sure you've got it under control, that there's some people, Jimmy Fasig, my law partner, he manages our teams in terms of, what it's expecting for quarterly goals, demands out, that sort of thing, tight, because if that's not going on, that's what so many people do. They'll do one or the other, but they're not monitoring the other while they're doing the one. I've talked to a lot of people who leave firms, especially women, because they're like, I'm never going to get anywhere on this firm. Let me go out on my own. But they spend most of their time practicing on the cases they already have, okay, because they're scared. They don't want to fail. They don't think about anything in the pipeline. But when they do pivot, maybe they got a good resolution, they got some money in the bank right now, then they pivot and it's totally marketing and management. But wait, there's nothing in the pipeline. There's nobody leveraging who's working on those legal matters. So it's a holistic thing. You can't pick one or the other. You've got to cover all the bases. As much as we do that is exciting and innovative, we are not good at the traditional stuff that we should be doing, the good hygiene, the policies and procedures, all the things that you tell us that we are not going to be able to scale up until we have under control, which I know now because I've tried to do it without it and it's not going to work. So we had to hire a director of operations to get that together. You need grownups and you need somebody to help you focus, because once you get to this level and everybody's hitting you every day. I just had a seminar today about some new damn algorithm change in Google. I'm a lawyer, but I'm having to know this, because if I don't have at least a gestalt about this, how am I going to supervise my people? But I look at it this way. This is how I've spun it. You want to know how to spin not practicing to the people who have heartburn over it?
Yeah.
Those trial lawyers. When you're trying a case, you're just trying the case to 6, 8, 12 people. But when you're marketing, you're trying your case to the entire universe you're in. And you're saying, do what I want you to do, instead of not just that one defendant or maybe 2 or 3, all those people who are competing against you. So to me, I'm trying a case worth tremendously more money to a much larger group of people with a lot of other people gunning for me. So that's how I reconciled it.
Right. Well, when I finally got out of cases, and I was slow to do it, but when I got out of them, I could focus more on on building the practice. My income doubled. Like within 3 years.
It sure does.
I mean, and the people, I tell people that, they don't believe me, but
it
did. But I think when you can really focus in on it,
yeah,
and you're a doer like you and Jimmy,
things
are going to happen. I mean, that's why y'all doubled in the last 3 years?
We sure have. Yeah, you don't get rich off your labor. You get rich off your capital, the things you already own that you can leverage. Nobody ever worked their way to riches. That's just not, not labor, not billable hour. That's not how you're going to get there. Not case by case by case by case.
So I want to talk to you about women lawyers, because you're very successful, and we've got several of them in Filma, but not as many as I think we should have, to be honest with you. When I was practicing, I had more women lawyers as associates, and I had a woman partner than any other law firm in our PI practice in the state. But I always felt like women lawyers, I always felt like they were a little smarter, and they were trying to prove themselves and work harder.
They're such hard workers.
But why do you think more women lawyers are not, that don't own their law firm, especially in the PI business? I see it more domestic, but you see very few PI lawyers where the women actually own the practice, or a partner, or one of the big partners. Why do you think
that? The same reason we have the lowest number of women in the workforce since 1984. Right now, because when things go south in a family, who steps up? Mama. If your mama is upset or can't go anywhere and is homebound, I'll take care of her. If my mama is, I'll take care of her. If our kids need to be homeschooled or whatever, I'll take care of that or whatever. I'll drop to part-time. I'll drop to 75% time. I used to manage a law firm about 20 years ago. I had some of the brightest women in there. One of them was actually a partner. She dropped to 75% after she had her kids. Another one just said, I don't want to leave the office. I just want to research and write in my little basement office. I don't want to do that. It's an aversion to risk, Ken, in my view. It's a lack of belief in yourself, and it's a lack of an ability to look up and see somebody else who's done it. That's what I try to offer. I want to tell you how to do it. I want to tell you how to have children, care for in-laws and elderly parents and all these things that you have to do. I'm going to tell you how to volunteer. I'm going to tell you how to have a little bit of time for yourself to do some God blessed macrame or whatever the hell you like to do. And you do it by buying back your time. I talk about that in my book. It's called Functional Feminism, an Apolitical Guide to Women's Empowerment. And I truly mean that. If you want to be a stay-at-home, supportive mom, whatever, I want you to understand how to do that in a way that doesn't hurt you and your children should the 3 Ds happen: divorce, disability, or death. I think it's a lack of a path and a lack of belief that you can buck a system and win because you just don't see any other women doing it. So to me, it's exposure. It's not a lack of hard work. It's not a lack of imagination. One thing too is a lot of people don't spend enough time and don't dedicate enough time to think. When I worked on the defense side, I used to think to myself, these people will not pay me unless I generate a product. I put a piece of paper out, but the real value I provide to them is thinking. I was a great strategist. Like if someone comes to, it's still to this day, Jimmy and I both help people with their problems and their legal claims. They'll come to us and we'll be like, boom, here's the path. They didn't see it because they were mired in it, or they just didn't stop long enough to think. You know, you need to play chess in life, not checkers. Don't be reactive, be contemplative. And I think a lot of women, they're just reacting to every pressure, every problem they have right now. So I outline a couple of ideas in my book, but mainly I would ask you to look around and find some people who are doing it and say, hey, can we have a drink? Can we go to lunch? Can I pick your brain? They'll be more than willing to do it. But you've got to give up this thought that there's only one path. And I tell people, don't pay dues the way men pay dues, the way the traditional, you'll never get there. Men got there first. They got to make the rules. They have the networking. They've already got the people who make the decisions in play. You're never going to get anywhere doing it that way. You're going to have to leapfrog. You're going to have to find it, because fortunately, whenever things go well for you, like they have for men, especially the white ones, you're not real agile. You don't really take people bucking you very well because it doesn't happen that much. So the shock effect of an assertive woman has tremendous value. So I just think we got a lot more tricks in our bag than we take out and use.
Yeah, well, I don't disagree. I would love to see more of it. And but you know, we've got. I say that at the same time, but we got like you. We got Jan Deals. Mm-hmm. We got Shelley Lee. We've got some women that are really ass kickers that are just really, I mean, just killing it.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say? I said 2 or 3. I don't remember how long it's been, but I remember I've lost time with all this COVID. My time ankles. But you know, y'all double in probably the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's not like going from 100,000 to 200. It's like from half a million
to 10 million. You're exactly right.
5 million to 10 million. Yeah. So my question is, what do you think the top 3 reasons? I mean, do you put it on any one thing, or you think it's any 2 or 3 things? What do you think the most important reasons were?
I would say number 1, coaching. Number 1, asking help, asking for guidance of people who know more than you and have done this with other people. Like I said, I have a business coach. We have you for marketing management, that sort of thing. That was tremendous, because when you do something and you're not starving, you tend to think you got it made, man. You nailed this. You know, I'm going to Europe every year, but do you want to go on a private plane? That's the thing. You want to level up, you got a nice house. You want a nice beach house? Let's talk about it. You do a lot. You give, $100,000 a year to charity. You want to give $1 million? You want a statue in your name? You want a building named after you? What's your legacy? How many people do you want to help? So to me, it's not thinking small. The next thing I would say, quarterly goals, and this is on you, Ken. You got Jimmy Fasig, my law partner, on this. Jimmy set very high goals for our attorney teams, and we facilitate their ability to do it. We'll come out of pocket so you have enough staff to do it. Like you said, we tried the designated file opener, designated medical records order, designated demand writer. In our world, only designated demand writer worked. Everybody else needed their own opener and whatever. But you find a way to say, this is what you need to make. This is what I'm going to give to you to enable you to do it. And this is when it needs to happen. And I'm going to be here to help you all along the way. And we're going to talk about it. And, nobody's going to get bogged down. And so Jimmy set those quarterly are very important. We meet every Monday morning, only from 8:30 to 9. We don't go over. It's all the teams. And we're like, where are the big rocks? That's what we call them. Where's the big rocks? That's the kind of money that is life-changing right now. And then what is your system to make sure the small people don't get short shrift and don't get left behind? Those are the only two things I want to know. Plus, what do you need help with? And once you do that, and there's accountability, and it's all positive. It's not, why haven't you done it? It's, yay, look what Carrie just did. And when we did that and we gave them what they needed to reach those goals, it just happened. There's a book, you know it, Ken, because you are Ken is my go-to person for who the expert is on this. What's the latest book? Who do I need to, talk to about whatever issue it is in marketing and managing a law firm? You put us in touch with some book. I believe it was, I'm screwing it up, but it's something like Stuck at 5 Million. This is a trap that so many people in our world fall into. They get to the 4.8, 4.9, 5.1, 5.2, 5. And they just can't bust it. And when I managed the firm, I was, believe it or not, they made me managing partner also the first day. I became a lawyer because I had managed a law firm. Nobody else really had. But I got us from, about $1 million, $1.1 million, $1.2 million to about the 5 range, and couldn't do it anymore. I'm more of a hygiene housekeeping person. I want to make sure we don't blow our money and that we honor the contracts. We get into the right contracts. We get bids. I'm more of that person. Jimmy's more of a, make this money happen person, and how do we do it and motivate people. He's a big motivational, big on goal setting. He lives, walks, talks at our firm as a representative of how powerful it is. The people he has helped, they speak to his talents and his discipline and just his motivation. But that's basically how we did it. Quarterly goals, getting it together, looking for help from experts.
One book that, I don't know if that's it. It's like, what got you here won't get you to the next level or get you there.
You got to change. You got to evolve.
Yeah,
Our biggest problem, Ken, I would say, is that we change too quick. We need to give something a chance and control all the variables before we cut and run. Whereas a lot of other people, in my experience, lawyers, they will get into a rut and stay there, and somebody'd have to just shake them by the shoulders and say, do something different. We're too much on the other
Here's my
side.
observation, and you wouldn't say it because you're too humble, but I think one of the big deals too is that you and Jimmy are really great leaders, and leadership is so important in scaling a law firm, scaling any business.
I think so.
I mean, I just think it's, I've looked at the most, I got a lot of successful lawyers in my masterminds, and some are more successful than others, but there's one trait in all of them that, you're going to the 8-figure group. Every one of them are great leaders. Every one of them. I mean, they might not be the best trial lawyers, or they might not be the best managers, but they're all great leaders. They've all got, awesome. And that's very important ingredient.
If you can't get your people's buy-in, it's never going to happen. And they're not going to buy into somebody they don't believe in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So what would be your advice? Because we're getting near the end.
Yeah.
I want to do this 2 parts. You can do it 1 part or 2 part, but it's you are a woman and a very successful woman. I wanted to ask you, what would you tell female lawyers out there if they want to be successful, go to the next level? And then what would you just tell anybody? Men, women, don't really matter.
Probably the same thing, Ken, and that is go find yourself a good mentor, and more than one, because it's dangerous to put your eggs in one basket and try to emulate a person. No, you're you, they're they. You can pick up some things from them, but you've got to put your own spin on it. It's got to be you. You've got to be authentic. You need to show up. You need to make eye contact. You need to be warm. And if you don't genuinely care about people, and unfortunately, I run into people in our world, personal injury law, who are not natural social workers, who see this, that they think we are C-minus lawyers who couldn't get a job anywhere else, who send somebody to a damn chiropractor, wait for medical records, write a letter, and just cash a check from their yacht. That is not it. There are people who do that. We don't. And I think a good lawyer, and I think it's karma, I think it's earnestness, I think it's so many things. But if you put people first and you are a servant, I think you have to have a servant's heart to do personal injury law. And if that's not where you're coming from, I just don't think you're ever going to have the wind at your back. I think you're going to always have to be trying to be somebody you're not naturally. So make sure you're in the right place. Get a mentor or two, because when you do get a mentor, everything they tell you is not going to be gospel. It's just going to be their experience and what they did. I was married to a brilliant lawyer. I thought he was the smartest person I ever met in my life. I thought the way he ran a firm is the only way to run a firm. And he is still all those things, very brilliant, but that's just his experience, and that's something to learn from. I'm not him, so I've got to put my, spin on everything I've learned. But just mainly, don't think you know everything. Don't be so arrogant. Hubris is a killer.
Like to say for self-humility and knowing that you don't know it all. I still say today, I think I know as much as anybody in the country about legal marketing. But I don't know it all, and I still learn stuff every day. I do. And I enjoyed learning. I mean, you were talking about that, about the Google deal. That was Pilma's. That was our webinar. And I heard somebody talking about it last week, and I said, we got to have somebody let our members know what's going on so they can be ahead of their competitors or get ready for it. But that's what it's all about. I mean, you got to be a continual learner is what I think.
Continual learning. Yeah. If somebody paid me to go to school, I'd be a neurosurgeon right now. I love school.
All right. Well, listen, thank you so much. And I want to get Jimmy on this too.
Absolutely.
I want to hear his story. Tell him I want to get him on one of our podcasts.
I will. And make sure you tell him how much I praised him. And so if he does not likewise, it would look odd.
Yeah, I will. I think y'all are both each other's biggest fans. So
we are. I love that man. Yes.
All right. Well, listen, thank you so much, Dana. Very good encouragement of words and
lovely.
Congratulations on all your successes.
Thank you so much. We owe so much to you, Ken.
Well, thank you. You're very kind. Well, until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success. Take care.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.